good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and a big welcome to our game-changing webinar series for September 2025 for SBL. This is Sir Hasan Dossani in front of you, and I hope you guys are doing well. So today's session is actually a global session where every student on planet Earth can join this session, whether you are a self-study student or you are studying with any other tutor, right? So the SBL session is webinar is spread over 2 days. It will be today and tomorrow, same time. So it's a 6 hour session, 3 hours today, 3 hours tomorrow, in which we will talk about all the important aspects of your SBL paper. So before I proceed to the next slide, what do you see on your screen? Do you see this room? Can you guess what this room is? What is this room which you see on, which is on the cover of my presentation? It's a boardroom. Yes, it's a meeting room, a conference room, but mainly it's a boardroom. And can you guess why I have used boardroom in the picture? Because SBL, as the name says, strategic business leader. So the board of directors are the leaders of the organization, right? So this course teaches you to become a business leader. And ultimately, once you qualify and you will rise through the ranks, eventually you will end up as a finance director or as a CFO, and you will sit in the board of directors, right? So when you are preparing for SBL, keep that in mind that you are not an accountant for this particular course. You are a business leader or a finance director. So, your thought process, your way of thinking becomes more business related rather than accountant related. All right. So, with that, what we will be covering in 2 days. So today, we will be covering introduction, very quick introduction to SBL. We will discuss all the formats. I will teach you all the 5 professional skills, and most important session for today, I will teach you all the exam techniques. Very, very important segment for today, the exam techniques, right? And then tomorrow we will continue. We will start with some tips from global prize winners. What were their strategy, how they used to study, what made them global prize winners. We will cover any new technical articles published for SBL. And then very important segment for tomorrow is drafting. So we will draft one question in detail so that you get an idea how to handle, how to draft, how to link in your exam. And then in the end, the list of important topics followed by the study plan for last 3 weeks, right? So let's get cracking. How to ask question. So today's webinar is a global webinar. So the only way you can ask question is that you will have to type your question in the chat box, right? But you have to make sure that your question should relate to the topic or the slide under discussion. I will not be able to answer unrelated questions because that will break the tempo. For any unrelated or general questions, I will give you special time towards the end of the session. But while we are going through the discussions, please restrict your questions to the slide under discussion. Okay. Now, previous webinar, so this is only for self-study students, right? If you are self-studying and you don't plan to take any classes and you want to get an idea how to draft a full paper, then you can use these two webinars, which is there on YouTube. December 2021 webinar by Hasan Dossani. The case study is called NEBI. And then March 22, it's called TT for you. But keep in mind that these are old papers. They are on the old format, not the pre-seen format. But your objective should be to learn the drafting skills, right? So syllabus hasn't changed. So if you want to get an idea about the drafting skills, linking, you can use these two webinars, but only for self-study. Those of you who are enrolled with me, we will be doing a lot more papers in the live classes. So you don't have to worry about it. A quick introduction of myself. I am a chartered accountant and I'm working as a CFO for last 15 years. I'm a CFO of an insurance company based in Dubai. So I have been sitting in the board of directors for last 15 years. And believe me or not, uh, the things which you will learn in SBL, those things takes 70% of my time as a CFO. So please, this subject is really, really important for your future role, right? And I've been teaching for 20 years now, and I have taught like more than 20,000 students. I just teach SBL. But what is the most important thing on this slide? It's actually my WhatsApp number. So those of you who don't have my WhatsApp number, you are new, please take a screenshot. And so that if you have any questions, you have any doubts, feel free to message me on my WhatsApp. All right. Also, I kind of manage SBL WhatsApp group. So if you're already part of my SBL WhatsApp group, the free one, the global general one, then it's okay. But if you're not part of any of my WhatsApp groups, you can join through this link. I will share the link in the chat after, during the break time. Okay. Right, so June attempt has been quite good, and there were a lot of high scorers in my June batch, the highest being 86 from China. This is the first time one of my Chinese students have scored, then Malaysia, then Pakistan, UK. So, geographically very spread, and there were many more. I just mentioned some high scorers. And in June 2025 attempt, three of my students got country prize winners. So there was Sakina Naushad from Tanzania, then Zia Zaif. He's from Azerbaijan, but he was the top scorer in the region, Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Georgia. And then Thadel Jacob from Bahrain. So I got three top prize winners, which is very encouraging. It should be motivating or inspiring for you as well. SBL pass rate, you can see it's pretty consistent, ranging in the 50s. 50, 51, 49, 50, 50, 52, 53. Your last attempt, June attempt, was 51%. So SBL's passing rate is definitely the highest This is the global pass rate, right? So it is highest amongst all your other strategic professional papers. So that's good news. I've gone through this slide several times, so I will just very quickly go through it. So SBL is very, very different from your other ACCA papers. Okay, you will get a shock of your life. It's very different. The mindset, the approach, the technique, the study plan, all is different. The important thing is there are several formats. There are so many formats which can be tested in your SBL paper. And in today's one of the segment, we will cover, I will teach you all the possible formats. Then this one is important. Knowledge of topic is less important. Application of knowledge is more important. So SBL is not a bookish paper. It is not a paper where you define stuff and just like you do for other papers. No, it is not a bookish paper. It is application of your knowledge. So those students who are focusing on book and chapters and models, you don't have to focus a lot on that because the theoretical knowledge you don't have to reproduce. It is the application. So if you just understand the basic concepts, you will be able to apply. So don't waste a lot of time on chapters and topics. Instead, do more practice so that you understand how you apply your knowledge. And the last dangerous thing which differentiates SBL is more than 50% of the paper is common sense, which means that you don't require any bookish knowledge. You just need to apply logical thinking. Okay, have to think on your own what you would have done if you were in that situation and then give the answer. Some students are good at it, but most of the students they struggle because you have a theoretical mindset. So this is something which I will cover in today's one of the segments. All right. A little bit about your exam format. So your exam format is basically the pre-scene format in which the pre-scene will be published 2 weeks before the exam. So around 20th of August, the pre-scene. What is the meaning of pre-scene? Basically, pre-scene means that the scenario which will come in your exam, a scenario will be shared with you 2 weeks before. So it's kind of a 10 or 11 page document which will tell you the background of the company, the challenges, and all those information about the company. And it will also tell you the information about the industry, right? So you will be very familiar. You will be very familiar with which company and which industry you will be tested. Isn't that good? You think that's good or bad? Absolutely, absolutely. So there is no suspense, there is no surprise. You exactly know which company and which industry, and then we can, we can then talk about it. We can go through the pre-scene. We can try to preempt possible questions and discussions and brainstorming so that you can become more familiar, right? So definitely it's good. That is why SBL's passing ratio is more than 50%, right? But on the exam day, additional information will be given. You will be given 3 or 4 exhibits. Exhibit means additional information. They are normally one pager, right? One page additional information. So 3 to 4 additional pages will be given, and there will be 3 questions or 3 tasks. So the questions are um, derived from the exhibits, right? So that is why the exhibits are not shared, only the pre-scene, the background is with you. The questions are derived from the exhibits, okay? And the paper duration is 3 hours and 15 minutes. The pre-scene material will also be available on the exam day on your CBE platform. So during your paper, you will have access to the pre-scene document, so you don't have to memorize the entire pre-scene. And there is one more confusion. Pre-scene material is same globally. So each and every country, each and every student will have the same pre-scene. That is standard. Only exhibits and task changes for various time zones. So in the morning batch, there will be, one set of exhibit and one set of questions. In the afternoon batch, it will be a different set of exhibit with a different set of questions. And then the evening, why? Because, students cannot cheat. They cannot share. Otherwise, it's unfair, right? So the exhibits and tasks will differ based on the time zones to prevent cheating or sharing of question papers. But the pre-scene itself is standard. All right. Any questions so far? This is just a quick introduction about SBL so that we are all on the same wavelength. Any question, guys, relating to what we discussed, the thing general? Guys, can you give me a second? There is some students are not able to join. Uh, just give me a second because students. All right, so that's done. So now this slide is important. This was the strategy I suggest to each and every students. And all my students who scores high marks, all my global prize winners, my country prize winners, students who scores 80 marks, they have all applied this strategy. So if you want to score high marks, then apply this. So when you are attempting SBL paper, don't think like a student. Stop imagining yourself like a student. You are not a student, you are a business leader. So feel or imagine that you are a leader or the CFO of that organization. Imagine that you are sitting in the board of directors. Okay? Start imagining or feeling that you are not a student, but you are the owner or a leader of the organization. So your thought process should be like a owner or leader or a CFO. And imagine that you are sharing your views not with the examiner, but you are explaining your point to the board of directors. The way I talk to the board of directors, the way I explain my point of view to the board of directors, If you adopt this mindset, SBL will become very easy for you and definitely you will score high marks. Okay. Now let's take a quick look at the CBE platform. Um, I will cover that in few minutes from now. When I will be teaching you the exam techniques, then we will open our CBE platform and I will show you the paper, right? So let's skip this. Now, why students fail SBL? Very important to understand, right? Why students fail SBL? What are those common mistakes done by the students? So I go through all the examiner's reports because the examiner clearly discusses what were the common errors, what were the common mistakes made by the students. So it's better that we learn from that so that we don't repeat those mistakes, right? So there are like 11, 12 common reasons, and they are all in order of priority. So one of the common things is answers not linked with exhibits. Every time the examiner says that students are giving general answers, students are giving bookish answers, students are giving theoretical answers, and they do not apply the knowledge on the scenario. Hey, this is a scenario based paper. All your answers, suggestions, recommendations, discussions has to be in light with the information provided. So this is something very important. Then these two are kind of very common errors that most students they overspend time on one particular question. So when you are under exam center and when you are, drafting your answers, sometimes you tend to overspend the time on one particular question. Big mistake. Suicide. You cannot overspend time on any question. So time management is the key to pass SBL. Guys, can you please hold your comments? Excuse me, guys, I want strict discipline here. You will only use chat box when I ask a question. Stop sharing your experiences unnecessarily. And then when you overspend the time, obviously you are hijacking the time of the next questions, and ultimately by the time you reach the end you will not be able to complete the paper because your time management was not balanced. If you don't complete SBL paper you cannot pass. It's mandatory to attempt full paper. So time management is another biggest challenge of SBL. I would say the number one challenge, the number one challenge is time management because English is not the mother language for most of the students. So reading the exhibit, thinking, processing, then making the format, then linking, drafting, explaining. It's too much things to do. So time management, I think, is the number one reason why students fail SBL. The third important thing is 50% papers are common sense. So again, common sense question means that you are on your own. No bookish knowledge can help you. You need to think, logically, and then handle that question, right? So most of you will struggle in this because you are not practiced enough to think logically. So that is also some, we need to work on that. And then smaller ones like not understanding the requirement correctly, or stressing out or panicking during the paper, poor technical knowledge, and all those things. But I think the main reason, if I can say top three, so the main first reason is time management, why students fail. Second reason is students are not able to link properly. And the third reason is that the common sense questions, uh, sometimes you struggle on that. All right. Now, guys, now you know the introduction to SBL, what is SBL about, the paper pattern, why do students fail. Now, are you ready to solve a question? You're ready to solve a question? Good. I like your confidence. But unfortunately, guys, you are still not ready. Why? Because there are so many formats. So unless you are familiar with all the formats, you cannot start practicing. So it's very important that you know all the formats. Some of the formats are very frequently tested, so you need to be very fast on it. But some of the formats are only tested once in a blue moon, but still, nevertheless, you need to be aware of the formats, right? So the most common format, the most frequently tested format is either a report. The examiner will ask you to draft a report or draft a briefing paper, or sometimes he says draft a briefing note, or sometimes he says draft a memo. These are the various formats which are tested most frequently: report, briefing paper, briefing note, or a memo. What I've done is I've tried to simplify the format so that one format can apply on all these four kind of requirements. So first of all, there is no one standard format in the world, right? But under your exam conditions, I don't want you to waste your time. So I've this template, this format can apply easily on all these four categories. So very simple: to, from, subject, date, introduction, and then the closure. This is the format. So those of you who are already enrolled with me are very much familiar with this, right? To, from, subject, date, introduction, and the closure. And then in between all of this, you will sandwich your answer. So this will be the body of your answer. Rest is all the formats, and this is the body of your answer, where you will be actually drafting and sharing your thoughts with the examiner. Now, there is some confusion that should we give a conclusion? Are we supposed to give any conclusion or recommendation, particularly in the report format? Yes or no? What do you think? Yes, correct. So in your exam situation, do not give any conclusion or recommendation. No need, because we are racing against time. So no need to give any concluding paragraph or recommendation unless the question specifically mentions that give your recommendation or conclusion. Then of course, right? If the question specifically says include a conclusion, then of course. But if the question is silent, no need for giving any conclusion or recommendation. All right. The next format, sometimes the examiner says draft a section of a report. He doesn't want a full report. He just wants you to draft a section of a report. Section means a small extract. So very simple. On the top, you will give the heading section of a report. There is no to or from. You will just write subject, introduction, closure. Okay, very simple. This is half report, extract from a report. And then here will be the body of your answer or drafting. Okay, any questions on report format or section of a report? Yes or no? It's pretty straightforward. You will need to memorize these formats and should be able to draw them very fast. Then there is sometimes the examiner asks you to draft an email. So again, very similar format. On the top, you will mention email. So guys, the name of the format should always be there on the top. It's an email, whether it's a report, whether it's a section of a report, you have to mention on the top, like I have done. And then E2 from subject date, and then the introduction. So you will not give the heading introduction, but you will just give the introduction in a sentence form. The closure is there. The rest is the drafting part of your answer. Then there is presentation slides. I want to spend some time on presentation slides. Almost every attempt, almost every attempt, a presentation slide is required. In one of the questions, the examiner asks you to prepare 2 slides. So on your CBE platform, under the answer tools, you will see 3 options. You will see a Word document, you will see an Excel document, and you will see a presentation slide. So there are 3 options under answer or response tool, right? So for SBL, whatever you are drafting, you will use a Word document. There is no need of using Excel in SBL, no need at all. It doesn't ask you for any it's not a calculative paper. So there is no need for using Excel. If you want to calculate some basic ratios like profit margin or growth percentage, just use your calculator. All right. And also there is no need to show any calculations in SBL. So stay away from Excel. So for all your normal drafting, you will use the Word document. However, if the question says prepare presentation slides, then instead of using the Word document, you will then use the presentation slide option on your CBE platform. Is this clear? Yes or no? I'm taking it very slow, and I hope you guys are intelligent and smart to understand basic stuff. So when the question says prepare a presentation slide, then you will use the slide option. All right. So when you open the slides option on the CB platform, you will see two portions. You will see two portions. The first portion will be the slide, and the second portion will be called supporting notes or accompanying notes. Both these sections will be there on your CB platform. So the first part will be a slide, and then followed underneath it, there will be a section called supporting notes. So what do we write on slides and what do we write under supporting notes? Very simple. If you have attended any presentation in your educational life or professional life, a presentation will have bullet points, right? It doesn't have stories and explanation. A slide is always concise, bullet points, and the speaker is explaining or discussing the points in detail, right? So on the slide box, you will not draft your answer. You will just give bullet points, okay? Like the headings only. And where you will explain these points? Here, supporting notes. So the slides will just have the headings or the bullet pointers, and their explanation will be under supporting notes. Is that clear? Okay, good. Now, if I am giving three bullets here, okay, then how many paragraphs should I expect to see here under supporting notes? Three paragraphs. One paragraph for each bullet, right? So if I give three bullets, I have to explain 3 points. So there should be three paragraphs in the supporting notes, one for each and in the same sequence, right? Okay, let's move on. Then once in a blue moon, very rarely the examiner asked for a letter, draft a letter to the CEO. So again, on the top, you will write letter, then the date, dear CEO, subject, then the introductory paragraph, and then the closure. And here is your body of the answer in sandwiched between the format and the closure. Then also very rarely, once in a blue moon, the examiner can ask you to draft a press release or a website release. What is a press release? A press release is that we make an announcement in the newspaper. For example, the company may want to clarify something to the general public. So they will draft a press release and publish in the newspaper. What's a website release? Same thing. The company wants to clarify something for the public, so they will draft it and publish on its website. So basically, the press release or a website release is kind of an announcement or some kind of clarifications for the general public. Okay, it's like a public announcement. So what's the format? On the top, you will give the heading press release or website release as the case may be. Then you will give the subject, name of chairman or CEO, name of company and date. And then the opening paragraph, through this press release, we would like to share our views, blah, blah, blah. And then this is the closure. And your answer drafting will be in this portion. All right, you will need to memorize this because this has been tested 1 or 2 times in last 10 attempts. Then there is a business case. It is a very it's a business case relates to project management. So it's a very specific scenario that the examiner may ask you to draft a business case. So if you have to draft a business case, you will give the heading business case, and then there are three broad headings: current situation, analysis of options, and recommendation. Okay. Again, it's just relating to project management. Current situation, options, and recommendations. Similarly, a project initiation document is also one of the formats, again related to project management chapter. And you will not be asked to prepare a project initiation document, but maybe a project initiation document can be given to you as an exhibit, and you might be asked to review it and identify the gaps or the missing information, right? So you will need to memorize what are the contents of a PID. So these are the contents or headings of a project initiation document. Many times the examiner will ask you identify the weaknesses and give recommendation. There are many questions. Almost every attempt, you might be asked to identify the weakness or discuss the impact of the weakness and give recommendations. You see, there are two things. You have to identify and give recommendation. So in this kind of a question, I personally always recommend a tabular format. On left side, you can discuss the weakness here and then you can give the recommendation here. And then second weakness here and recommendation here. It will speed up your drafting, it will simplify, it will be very structured. So whenever you get a question to identify and give recommendations, try to use a tabular format. It's not mandatory. You can give a paragraph style of drafting, but it's better. I've seen in my experience, it's better to use a tabular format. Similarly, exact same. Sometimes the examiner says identify the risk and give recommendation or mitigation actions. So again, you can use a tabular format. You can mention risk on the left side and mitigation factors or recommendations on the right side. Any questions on this slide, tabular formats? Yes, Deepika, there is a table option in the CBE platform. Otherwise, why would I ask you to insert a table if the CBE doesn't support it? Guys, please hold your questions. Dialer, please don't ask questions which are not currently under discussion. Don't flood my chat box. Okay. So we are done with the format. So we discussed the report, briefing paper, briefing note, and memo. We discussed section of a report. We discussed email. We discussed letters, press release, business case, project initiation document. Now you know all the formats. Are you now ready for the question? Sorry, there is one more thing on the format. Somebody just asked, can we insert a table in a report format? Did you understand the question? Somebody is asking, can we make a table if we are making a report? Can we use table format inside the report? Yes, why not? Okay. Now, are you guys ready? I am afraid that you are still not ready. Still not ready. Why? Because of professional skills. So you need to be very, very familiar, very, very familiar and on professional skills. Can anybody tell me how much marks are there for professional skills? 20 marks. Professional skills carries 20 marks out of 20 marks out of 100. So professional skills represents 20% of the paper. One fifth. Professional skills represent 20% or one fifth of the paper. Huge weightage. If you can score good marks in professional skills, it will really, boost and give you a kickstart and you can score very good marks. But if you mess up your professional skills, you're gone. Now, professional skills are very straightforward and easy to score. I call them cash marks. They are cash, hard cash, low hanging fruits. So please, understand professional skills properly and then make sure that you demonstrate or apply them in your paper very accurately so that you can score 15 marks out of 20. It will give you a kickstart. All right. So, how many professional skills are there? Yes, in SBL, there are 5 professional skills. The good news is that all the 5 professional skills are very well defined. They are not subjective, they are very well defined. And the question, each task will specifically tell you which skill you need to demonstrate. So, for that particular question, you can demonstrate that particular skill. Sounds easy? Each question will tell you which professional skill so that you can focus and demonstrate that particular skill, right? So, professional skills are very easy provided that you are able to score good marks. So, let's start with the first one. The first one is called evaluation skill. I will not go into philosophical definitions or discussions like other teachers. I will keep it very simple, exam focused technique I will teach you. Evaluation skill simply means that you discuss both pros and cons. So when you're drafting your answer, they should have both positive points and negative points. Pros and cons should be there. Clear? Mention both pros and cons. For example, if you are evaluating a proposal, so there will be some advantages and some disadvantages, right? So you are supposed to include both of them, the favorable points as well as unfavorable points. Is this clear? Yes or no? That's it. That's evaluation, that you need to include the positive points as well as the negative points. We call it a 360-degree evaluation, right? So, for example, if I say, let's evaluate ACCA, can you evaluate ACCA qualification? So then if you are supposed to evaluate ACCA qualification, you are supposed to include the positive sides or the advantages of doing ACCA, and you're also supposed to include the challenges or the negative side. Right. Okay. Now, a little bit of so the first thing is that evaluation means mention both pros and cons. So my next question is, the pros and cons have to be in equal quantity. Do the pros and cons have to balance like five? So, like for example, you are supposed to give 10 points. So, five pros and five cons? No, not at all. There is no concept of equal or balancing in SBL. It all depends on the availability of the information. If the information has more positive and less negative, we will follow that. If it is vice versa, we will follow that. So don't think like a kid, like a childish approach that I have to give five and five. A business leader doesn't think five and five, right? It's accountant who are balancing, right? So it doesn't have to be equal. The third important thing is sometimes the examiner says critically evaluate. Sometimes the examiner uses the word critically evaluate. Critically comes from the word criticize. Critically comes from the word criticize. And what is the meaning of criticize? Criticize means identify faults, negative, identify mistakes. So when the question says critically evaluate, then you will have to focus more on negative points. So you can give positive points, but one or two only. Majority of the points should be negative because the question says critically evaluate. Then you focus more on mistakes or faults or issues or cons. Any questions on evaluation skill? I'm done. Hasib, separate is better. Yes, Dipti, once. All right, let's move to analysis skills. Analysis skills is also very simple. Very simple. Analysis skills simply means you identify the reasons or if identify the issue, identify the root cause. I repeat, if the question says demonstrate analysis skills, you are supposed to identify the reasons, identify the underlying issues, identifying the root cause of a problem. From where you will identify the issues, any idea? From the scenario, obviously from the exhibits. The exhibit will mention all you need to do is identify the root cause or identify the issue and discuss it. Let's take an example. Let's say that the company's sales revenue has drastically fallen this year. What can be the possible reasons? there can be a lot of possible reasons, right? A lot of possible reasons like economic recession or competition or quality issues or change in customer taste. Well, there can be hundreds of reasons. The moment you identify the reason or the root cause, analysis skills is done. All you need to do is identify the reason or the root cause, and analysis skills is done. Now, what I'm going to say now is very important. Listen to me very carefully. So, professional skill basically is already embedded in your drafting, it is already embedded in your points. You don't have to write a separate paragraph, or you don't have to give a separate heading for professional skills. As long as you are identifying the issues, automatically you are scoring analysis skills because it is a skill which is embedded in your drafting. Same applies for evaluation skill, right? As long as you give pros and cons, it is embedded. The professional skill is embedded in the drafting. You don't have to write a separate paragraph. Is that clear? Because some of the students are under this wrong concept that they have to write something separately or something in additional paragraph for professional skills. No, as long as you follow the skill, if it is evaluation skill, just make sure that you give pros and cons. If it is analysis skills, just make sure you are identifying the issues. Automatically, by default, you will get professional skills mark. Okay? DPT, don't piss me off. I just answered this question that there is no separate paragraph. So, okay? It's all in your drafting. So bad. All right, done. The third professional skill is communication skill. Again, very simple. Do you think a good CFO should have good communication skills? Yes or no? A good CFO should have good communication skills? Yes. Why? Why does he need to have good professional skills? Oh, sorry, good communication skills? Why? So that he's able to make his point understandable to others, right? A good communication skill is required because he's able to explain his points, explain his thoughts to the board of directors. Yeah. So this is exactly what you need to demonstrate here. So communication skill is nothing. All you need to do is uh, if a format is required, you make a proper format, which means that your answer is professionally presentable, like it looks professionally formatted, like report to, from, subject, date. So the report, or sorry, the format template looks professional. Then you have to keep your role in mind. You have to keep your role in mind. What is your role? So that you will talk according to your role, right? For example, if you are the finance manager of the company, if your role is finance manager, are you an internal person or external person? You are internal. So then your drafting tone should reflect that. Your drafting tone should, so you can say like us, we, ours, because we are part of the company, right? You should not sound like a third party outsider. No primrose. Now, supposing your role is of an external consultant, then you are a outsider. You are an external consultant. Then your drafting tone will be of a third party external tone. Like you can use words like you, yours. So all this is part of communication skill. You need to keep your role in mind. That's it. So the format should be presentable. You need to keep your role in mind, whether you are insider or outsider. And then the way you are drafting your point, it should be self-explanatory. Your drafting should be very simple so that the reader can understand. Okay, just a minute, guys. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So, any questions on communication skill? Again, it's nothing separately needs to be done. It's all embedded in your routine drafting, the way you make your format, the role, your tone, your drafting or explanation of points. So nothing extra needs to be done. Just follow these protocols and you will get marks. All right. The fourth one is commercial acumen. Now, this one is also very easy, but for some reason, students really feel that they don't know this. So, what is the meaning of commercial acumen? Commercial acumen simply means that you have overall business knowledge, overall idea of how the business works, right? So, do you think a good CFO should have a good commercial acumen or commercial knowledge? Everybody is saying yes. Why? SBL is all about why. Why you think a good CFO should have strong commercial acumen? Because he's a leader. Okay. Why? Yeah. Because if a CFO doesn't understand the business, how he will analyze the performance of the business, how he will take decisions affecting the business, right? Now let's take a simple example. Have you ever prepared any budgets? So under finance, we are supposed to make budgets, right? So, so we are supposed to, how can I make a budget if I don't understand my business? How will I make the sales budget if I don't understand the business? How will I make the cost of sales budget if I don't understand the production drivers? How can I make the salary budget if I don't understand the HR dynamics? How can I make an IT budget if I don't understand the IT things? Right? So, a good leader, a good CFO should have. So, that's the difference between an accountant and a CFO. A CFO will always have a good commercial acumen, whereas an accountant will remain an idiot all his life. Do you agree? Come on, guys. Accountant, that's the difference between a CFO and an accountant. Accountant will always be an accountant. He doesn't understand the big picture. But a CFO will have a good commercial acumen so that he can take business decisions. Right. Right. Now, my next question. Sorry, guys, this cat is disturbing a lot. Um, do you think that do you have commercial acumen? Yes or no? Talk about yourself now. Do you have commercial acumen? Yes or no? All of you has commercial acumen. Those of you who are saying no, you don't realize, but you have commercial acumen. Only basic commercial acumen is required. So tell me, let me ask some questions to see whether you have commercial acumen. If my sales revenue increases, is that good or bad? Of course, it's good. Everybody wants to increase their revenue. If my profit falls, is that good or bad? That's bad, right? Let's talk about staffing. High staff turnover. High staff turnover, good or bad? Why? Give me two reasons why you think high staff turnover is bad. My paid students, you know this by heart. It can cause operational disruption, it can affect the quality, customer service can get affected, it can cause demotivation to other staff, it will lead to increased recruitment cost, higher training costs, right? Online business, good or bad? Why is it good? Why online business is good in today's day and time? Global reach. We will be able to target younger generation, more revenue, low. This is commercial acumen, guys. What can be the risks of technology? What can be the risks of technology or online on this and that? Cyber crimes, hacking, data privacy. Very good. So these are all basic common sense things, right? These are all basic common sense. And this is exactly what is required for SBL. Commercial acumen means that you are able to talk about non financial things like staffing, HR, IT. Clear? Any questions on commercial acumen? Yes or no? Any questions on commercial acumen? So never underestimate yourself. Everybody, each one of you definitely has a basic understanding of the business. As long as you read the requirement and answer, nothing extra needs to be done. It's all there in the exhibit. Do you understand? Again, for commercial acumen, nothing extra needs to be done. Just if you answer the requirement and you follow the information in the exhibit, it's automatically done. For example, the question says, discuss the benefits and challenges of big data analytics. Now, big data analytics is a non-finance topic. It's like IT, right? So you will read the exhibit and you will discuss the benefits and challenges of big data. Done. That's commercial acumen. The question might, so clear, guys, now? The question might say, what are the threats of IT online business? So you can just talk about the risks of online business based on the exhibits or the scenario. It's all done. All right, let's move on to the last professional skill. Last professional skill is skepticism skill. Skepticism comes from the word skeptical. And what is the meaning of being skeptical? Questioning mind. Skeptical means questioning mind, challenging mind. Do not accept everything on face value. You should check and counter check, remove your doubts, be more thorough. So now, out of the five, professional skills, I think, in my view, the first four are pretty straightforward. First four are pretty straightforward. Nothing needs to be done as long as you just follow the techniques which I taught you. But this skepticism skill, you need to change the way of drafting because you will need to challenge someone or disagree with someone. So, how can you demonstrate skepticism skills in your exam? So, there are a couple of ways through which you can demonstrate skepticism skill. You can use words like I disagree. So, if you disagree with someone, right, if the exhibit is giving you some information and you disagree with that information is subjective. So you can write, I disagree with this. But when you say, I disagree with this, do you think you need to give your own logic or argument why you are disagreeing? What do you think? Yes or no? Exactly. So you can, if you use the word, I disagree because blah, 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 that's skepticism. Or you can, sometimes you can say it seems incorrect. Or you can say this not clear. Or you can say this should be further investigated. Or you can say it's not appropriate or it's not adequate. All these words where you sound like a boss, right? This is what I do in my job. I say, no, this is not correct because this is the issue, or I say that I disagree. Or I say that, no, I think this should be further checked, right? So you sound like a boss because you are reviewing. Like when you are auditing, you are the audit partner, you have to show some skepticism, challenge, disagree, further investigate, right? Sometimes you can also ask questions to seek more information. You can ask him, what is the basis of your uh, point? So there are many ways uh, you can demonstrate skepticism, right? The basic concept is that you need to challenge or question or disagree. This is the basic concept. So remember these words, and if you use any of these words in your drafting, you will automatically demonstrate skepticism skills. Let's take a scenario. Let's say I am the CEO. फिर आ गया. Let's say I am the CEO and you are the CFO. And we are all sitting in the board meeting. So I'm saying as a CEO that I don't think we require mobile apps. As a CEO, I'm saying I don't think we require mobile apps. What is your view? Do you agree or you disagree? Show some skepticism. Why do you disagree? If you disagree, you then need to give your point of view, right? Why do you disagree? Because you are disagreeing with the CEO, right? So you can say that, Mr. CEO, I don't think I agree because mobile apps are more convenient. The younger generation are more into mobile apps. You see, that's skepticism. You disagree or you challenge. Or I can ask that what is the reason why you are not supporting mobile apps? Hmm? Do you understand? That skepticism means challenging someone, questioning, but logically and respectfully. Any questions on skepticism? All right. Now, one last thing in skepticism is supposing you are you are required to give 10 points. According to the marks, you are required to give 10 points. And the question says demonstrate skepticism skills 4 marks. Okay. So out of 10 points, how many points should demonstrate skepticism? All the points or just 1 or 2 points? Yes. Skepticism skill is 4 marks, right? So maximum 2 points. So the point which I'm trying to make is that you don't have to show skepticism in each and every paragraph. I repeat, you don't have to show skepticism in each and every paragraph. That's not even practically possible. right? But at least in one paragraph or maximum two paragraph, you can use the word like I disagree or it doesn't sound correct or something like that. But the rest of the points can be normal points. Is this clear? All right, let's move on. Now you are familiar with all the formats. Now you are familiar with all the professional skills. Now are you guys ready for drafting? Not yet? No, 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 no. You are not ready as yet. I wish you were ready, but you are not. There is one last thing which you need to learn before you can attempt the paper. Exam techniques. Okay. So exam techniques is very important, but let's take a small break right now because I want you to come back fresh for the exam techniques because this segment is the most important segment for today. All right. So what time is it in Dubai right now? It is 7:30. I will give a 15-minute break. I will see you in exactly 15 minutes, which means 7:45 Dubai time. All right. 15 minutes break. Sorry, guys. Let's get tracking. So, before the break, I taught you all the formats and I taught you the exam techniques, right? Sorry, not the exam techniques, my mistake, the professional skills. Now, our last segment for tonight is exam techniques. And this is the most important thing for today. Sorry, guys, I got disconnected. Just give me a second to check everything. All right, guys, am I clearly audible and you are able to see my screen? Okay. So exam techniques is the most important thing if you want to pass SBL. And there's a logic behind this. So supposing you studied very hard, you did all the chapters and you did all the past papers, you practiced a lot. But during those 3 hours and 15 minutes during your exam, if you mess up, you will never pass, right? Because whatever you learned, you were not able to reproduce it to the examiner. So all your hard work will go down the drain if you mess during those 3 hours and 15 minutes. Correct? So, exam techniques is the difference between passing and failing. Those of you who remain confident during the paper and are able to apply the exam techniques properly, you definitely pass. And those of you who stress out or panic or did not apply the exam techniques will fail. So exam techniques is the bridge between passing and failing. So most important. Now we'll go one by one. There are like 5 or 6 things which I will teach you today. So the first thing is time management. As I said earlier, the number one reason why students fail SBL is time management, which means that they either overspend the time on one particular question, or their speed is slow, and ultimately they are not able to complete the paper. So let me guide you on basic time management rules. So your paper is straightforward, 3 hours and 15 minutes. Okay, that's given. My suggested reading and planning time. So I suggest that you spend the first 10 minutes in reading and planning, and the remaining 190, no, 185. It will be 195 minus 10, yeah. 185 minutes in drafting. Is this clear? So we will spend like 10 minutes in reading and planning and remaining on drafting. So when I say spend 10 minutes on reading and planning, what are we supposed to read? What are we supposed to do? So do we need to read the pre-scene? What do you think? Should we read the pre-scene in the first 10 minutes? Why not? Because you are already gone through the pre-scene. It was published 2 weeks before. So if you start reading the pre-scene, there will be no bigger idiot in the world than you. Right? So then what do we read? So we need to go through the tasks or the requirements. Even exhibit I will not read. 10 minutes is just there to read the task and plan your attack. So what do we do? Let me now say, the moment you open your platform, read the information provided on the landing page. So let me open up my CBE platform and I will demonstrate to you what we will need to do. So where is, how do you, so I think most of you might be aware that the CBE platform has been upgraded a couple of months back. So the previous CBE link is no more active. Now it's a new link. So how do we go to the CBE platform? I normally go to Google and I write ACCA CBE platform login. I just Google it. Right? ACCA CBE platform. It will take me to this past exam. I will click on this. And here it will show me login to the practice platform. I'll just click on this. And I am now into the new CBE platform. It's totally new look and feel, although it's still the same pathetic, lousy system, but only the look and feel has changed. Right. So now you can click on browse, available, select SBL. And if you scroll down, these are the various papers available on your CBE platform. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 papers are there. No, sorry, one is blank workspace. So 10 papers are there. Right? So I'll show you specimen paper 2. Let us, where is specimen paper? This one. SBL specimen 2, I will assign. It will, and then under assignments, it will appear under assignments. practice. Where is specimen paper one? This one. Sorry, I need to do some. These are some stupid, but how do I go back to it? How can I start the paper again? Any idea? How can I, because submitted this paper, how can I reassign? Complete marking, then exit. Yeah, I did that. Show feedback, close. Let me reassign again. Come on. Hmm. This one. Okay, got it. All right. So when you will open your CB platform on your exam day for your paper, this is what you will get. You will press next. You have to scroll down all the scroll bars. Next. Again, scroll down all the bars. Next. 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 Oh, come on. Next. Are you sure? Yes. So once you open your CB platform, this is what you will see. So when I say go through the landing page, this is the landing page. Okay, this when you open the CB platform, this introductory information is the landing page. All right. So just go through the landing page. Yax Marine is a company which we already know because we have read the pre-scene. Now your role is defined here. So your role will be given here. It says Yax Marine is seeking advice on a number of issues from Tranart consultants. And you work for Tranart consultants. So what is our role? We are Tranart consultant. Correct? This is our role. So in all the formats, you will write Tranart consultant. Are we internal or are we external? External, right? So in all our drafting, we need to adopt the external drafting tone. This is part of the communication skills. And the date will also be given here, September X3. So in all the formats, wherever date is required, you will mention September X3, right? So this is something you will always find on the landing page. It will not be there in the pre-scene. So you need to check your role and the date from the landing page. Now, how many exhibits has been provided to you? In this particular question, there are 4 exhibits. What are those exhibits? The first one is overview of investment project. Then strategy committee and staff retention. This so this will be talking something about strategy committee and staff reactions. Then there's something on risk mitigating activities and some board meeting on marketing approach. So 4 exhibits have been provided, some investment options, something on strategy committee and staff reaction, something on risk mitigation activities and board. So now I know that we have 4 exhibits. So what did we do? We first read the information provided in the landing page. Clear? The second thing is we need to copy paste all tasks in the scratch pad. This is interesting. Do you guys have any idea why I am suggesting that we copy paste all requirements on the scratch pad? What can be the reason why I am suggesting to copy paste all the requirements are there, right? But why do we need to copy paste on the scratch pad? Right. Interesting. The only reason is that the requirements are not on the same window. There are 3 requirements, right? So the 3 requirements are not available on the same window. So this window is just talking about task number 1. Now, if you want to go to task number 2, then you have to press next, and a new window will open, and then task number 3, a third window will open, right? So moving between the tasks, reading them again and again, it will be very time consuming, because I want to. So do you think should we see all the requirements on one page? Would that be helpful? Don't you think that seeing all the requirements on one page is more effective, because in one go you will know what are the questions, what are the topics, which one looks easy, which one looks difficult, which question should we start from? All that planning is easier when all the requirements are on one page. But here it's not on one page. Here it's only task number 1. So that is why I'm suggesting that we use Scratchpad. Now, why do we use Scratchpad to copy the requirements? Why cannot we use this word processor? Any idea? Why do I say Scratchpad instead of this word processor? Because Scratchpad will work on every window, but Word document is different for every window. If you copy something here, if you go to the next window, it will not be there. Clear? So I just open this. So let's look at task number 1. I open task number 1. I will just copy, I will not copy the entire requirement. I will just copy the main thing. Control C, scratch pad, Control V. Okay. I will close. Now I will go to task number 2. You need to scroll down all the scroll bars to be able to go. Now I will open task number 2 and I will see only the bold portion. Control C, scratch pad, Control V. And then there is for Control C, scratch pad B. That's it. Task number 2 done. Where is task number 3? Scroll down, go to next. Task number 3. I will Control C, scratch pad. Very lousy system, sorry to say. And any other requirement? Yeah, B. Done. So what I just did was I copy pasted all the requirements on one page, which is Scratchpad, so that I can see all the requirements in one go. I don't have the time during the exam to move windows forward and backward again and again. No, don't copy the marks, nothing. Just copy the basic requirement. Okay. No need to copy marks, no need to copy professional skills. Right now, this is just for your basic planning. So don't overdo it. So the first question is advise on the financial and non-financial benefits and drawbacks of each of the investment project. Oops. Oh shit, what happened? Right? So it is about some investment projects, benefits and drawbacks of investment projects. And then it says recommend which should be chosen. Then it says write a letter which assesses the proposal to establish strategy committee. So you need to assess the proposal to establish strategy committee. Then the third one is analyze how employee dissatisfaction, something to do with employee dissatisfaction. Then it says evaluate the adequacy of the risk mitigating activities. And so the topic is risk management. Okay. And then the last one is assess the benefits of using e-marketing. So again, the topic is e-marketing. Now, so now we know the requirements, read the task and identify the topics. So I know that there is some proposal, there is a strategy committee, there is some staff dissatisfaction, there is a question on risk management, and there's a question on e-marketing. Are you clear so far? So now I know mentally that 5 topics are there. Some proposal, strategy committee, staff dissatisfaction, risk management, and e-marketing. Now, the next step is take a quick look at the each exhibit and note exhibit number on the scratch pad. So now can we link or can we identify the related exhibits? I mean, you can easily guess from the name of the exhibit. You can easily guess from the name of the exhibit and you can map it to the requirements, right? So we have two drawbacks of each of the investment projects. So which exhibit do you think will is talking about investment projects? You can match the name here, right? Investment project and investment project. So it's very straightforward. So exhibit one. So I will write for this one, I will say exhibit one. So I know that this answer will be linked with exhibit one. Now, do we have any exhibit which talks about strategy committee? Strategy committee, any exhibit? Yeah, I can see this one. I will write here exhibit 2. Now, do we have any exhibit about employee dissatisfaction or something to do with employees? Again, yeah, this exhibit is strategy committee and staff reaction. So so it looks like this one also we have to use this same exhibit. Do we have any exhibit on risk mitigating activities? Very straightforward. Exhibit 3. Do we have any exhibit on marketing or e-marketing? Marketing. Very good. So this one is exhibit 4. Done. Easy, guys. So from the name, so once you read the requirements, once you know what topics are being asked, so from the name of the exhibit, you can easily map which exhibit to which question. Now, sometimes you might not be able to map, so you can always open the exhibit. You can always open the exhibit, take a look. It talks about strategy committee and it talks about staff reaction. And from there, you can easily judge, right? It's not a rocket science. It all requires just basic smartness. Okay. And then the last step is decide sequence of your answers. And it says easier questions first. So you see, some students, they always start drafting in sequential order. They always start drafting in sequential order, meaning that first they will start with task one, after that they will go to task two, and then task three. They are biggest idiots of this world. You should always start with easier topics and push the difficult questions or difficult topics to the last. Is that clear? We never, we will not follow the sequential thing. That's idiot strategy. You should always start with the most easy question first. Now, how do you decide which one is easy and which one is difficult? So it is number one, it is subjective. Number two, it varies from student to student. But the simple formula is whichever topic you are more confident, whichever topic you have solved more many times in your past papers, you start with familiar topics or topics which you have practiced more, right? So those of you who are enrolled with me, once we start solving the past papers, you will suddenly feel that you are becoming good in certain topics which are frequently tested, like big data or risk management, pros and cons, proposals, right? So always start with the topic which you are confident, where you have done more practice, right? And certain topics such as culture, change management, these are very slippery topics. Push them in the last. All right. So all this is supposed to be done in the first 10 minutes, right? Normally, if you are practicing this, it should ideally take you 7 minutes. Ideally. 7 minutes is more than enough, but just in case I've said 10 minutes. So so in the first 7 minutes or 10 minutes, you will you will identify your role and the date. You will copy paste all the requirements on Scratchpad, go through the requirements, identify the topics, map them to the exhibit, and plan your attack. Which question would you like to start for? Any questions so far? Yes, Archana, correct. I will come to that. But yes, you're right. Now, what do we do? Once we have identified the sequence, then your drafting starts. So allow drafting time I suggest you follow 1.8 minutes per total mark. 1.8 minute per total mark. So if it is a 10 marks question, how many minutes are you supposed to spend? 18 minutes. 10 multiplied by 1.8, 18 minutes. Straightforward. Now, what are we supposed to do in that 18 minutes? So in that 18 minutes, supposing I start with task number 3. Okay, 3B. Let's say I decide that I will start with task number 3B, this one. This is such a lousy system, So let's say, for argument's sake, that I decided to start with 3B because I feel that my grip over e-marketing. What is the benefit of e-marketing? Can you let me know? You know the benefits of e-marketing? Global reach, younger generation, lower cost, customer convenience, data analytics. So many benefits, right? Additional revenue, done. So now I will read this question properly. Because when we were copy pasting on the scratch pad, we just looked at the technical requirement, right? We did not look at professional skills or anything else. But now when I'm about to start my drafting, so I will read the background. So this portion is the background of the requirement. Unbold portion will give you some context of the requirement. It is mandatory to read the background. After that, I will read the technical requirement, which I'm already aware because I copy pasted it a few minutes back. And then I will read the professional skills. So in this case, the professional skills is what? It says professional marks available for demonstrating commercial acumen by using judgment to link e-marketing to the issues. Okay, okay. So I think because you are talking about marketing, you are talking about benefits of e-marketing, right? That in itself is commercial acumen. No? Whenever you talk about any non-financial things, marketing, IT, customers, operations, HR, that is by default commercial acumen. So you don't really need to do anything extra. As long as you explain the benefits of e-marketing, which is a technical requirement here, you are already demonstrating your knowledge of marketing and business. Am I correct? Right. So it's so simple. So now what is the total marks for 3B? Total marks for 3B. 14 plus 4, 18. How many minutes? 18 multiplied by 1.8. How many? 32.4. Let's say 32 or 33 minutes, right? So in this 33 minute, you need to read the requirement, read the exhibit, make the format, identify the punchlines, and explain your points. That's a lot. So is there a format which we are supposed to give. What is the format required? Prepare briefing notes for the board. Hmm. So what is the format? Briefing notes. To who will you address it to? The board. Yes. From Tranart consultant. By Tran, when you know the name, use the name Tranart consultant. Don't act unprofessional. Some people are saying consultant. Some people are saying external. What the hell? The scenario tells you you are Tranart consultant, so you will write Tranart consultant. Now, how complicated is that? Idiots. Subject. I can just write benefits of e-marketing. I will always pick the subject from the requirement. Benefits of e-marketing. Simple subject. Let's write the topic. Fazalullah, you are mistaken. Who's giving a one-liner? If you give a one-liner, you can never pass. Date. What's the date? September 20x3, I think. Yeah. Yeah. It was on the landing page. September 20x3. Yeah. All right. Now, so all this, and then you're reading and drafting, all this needs to be done in 34 minutes. As soon as your draft allowed time is up, this is the most important point. How do we manage time? So as soon as the allowed time is up, you should stop writing. Just complete that one paragraph which you were drafting. Just complete that paragraph and you should immediately move to the next question. Is that clear? Supposing the allowed time is 34 minutes, supposing you are supposed to give, let's say, 10 points, but you were just able to give 6 points. What to do and what to do now? Allowed time is up. So stop writing, just complete that one incomplete paragraph and move to the next question. Okay. So that's the reading and planning time. This is about time management. Any questions on time management techniques? Now, those students who are already enrolled with we did 6 proper questions in our live classes, right? Do you agree that time management is a challenge? Now you have a good idea about SBL. Do you agree that time management is a challenge? Absolutely. So the number one enemy is time management. So we have to build speed. So if you guys start writing lengthy answers, lengthy points, then you will never be able to manage within the allowed time. Correct? So that is why we will try to give Short answers, concise answers, maximum 3 lines per point. Otherwise, you will not be able to manage your time. However, if your speed is good, if your typing speed, there were some students whose reading and typing speed was like a Superman. So, those of you who have good reading and typing speeds, you can elaborate more. But those of you who struggle with speed and time, then don't go for elaborative answers. Otherwise, you will not be able to complete the answer. All right. Now, next thing is linking with the exhibit. This is the second most important reason why students fail as per the examiner. That students fail to link their answers with the exhibits. So, the technique is very simple. The linking technique is very simple. You will need to read the exhibit and identify some important or relevant points from there. Okay. So when you will read the exhibit, you know the requirement. You just read the exhibit and highlight or identify some relevant points from the exhibit. So once you identify, you just copy paste the sentence or point on your answer sheet. Is that clear? So again, my already enrolled students are very much aware of this, that when we read the exhibit, wherever we find some relevant sentence or a relevant information, we immediately copy the entire thing and paste it on our answer sheet. I call it statement of fact. A statement of fact is any information which you have picked up from the exhibit. So you just need to identify statements of facts and paste it on the answer sheet. Now, supposing there is a full-fledged exhibit, then almost all points can come out from your exhibit, right? But supposing there is no exhibit, so this happens as well, that there is a requirement, but there is no exhibit on it. Then what will you do? From where you will pick up points? Yes, then in that case, you will need to use pre-seen. Okay, let me explain it in a different manner. Supposing there is a full-fledged exhibit and you are supposed to give 10 points, right? And you are able to identify 8 points from the exhibit. So from where you will find the remaining 2 points? Pre-seen. Okay, good. And supposing there is no exhibit, then entirely pre-seen. If there is no exhibit, then you have to use the pre-seen. So the technique is first priority, the first source of information will be your exhibit. Once you have used the exhibit and you still require more points, or there is no exhibit, then you will go to pre-seen. Clear? Now look at this. So this is the rule of thumb. So, generally when you look at the entire paper, 80 to 90% of your answers would normally come out from the exhibit, and around 10 to 20%, you might need to use the pre-scene, because our first priority is always exhibit. And if you look at this paper, all the questions have 1:1 exhibits, right? All the requirements have a dedicated exhibit. So in this case, probably I might not even use something from the pre-scene if I get my desired number of points. Now, I always suggest that you should use some information from the pre-scene wherever you get a chance. What is that information? So the pre-scene will always tell you about the goals and objectives and values. Those will be mentioned in the pre-scene. And the pre-scene will always have some financial information or some statistics or KPIs. It will always be there. So I suggest that whenever you get a chance, even if you are using your exhibit, if you get a chance, link with the goal or link with the KPI or the financials given in the exhibit, you will get extra marks. Is this clear? Okay. Start your point with a statement of fact copied from the exhibit and then elaborate about its impact on the business. So, this is the whole technique of linking, that you will always start your point with a statement of fact, which is copy pasted from the exhibit or the pre-scene, as the case may be, and then you elaborate on it. That what is your point? What is it in your mind? What can be the impact of this on the business? Each point or paragraph should start with a statement of fact. Statement of fact should be short, maximum one line. I don't want you to copy the entire paragraphs or three, four lines. No, one liner. If it is very lengthy, then you can edit it and summarize it, right? But otherwise, your statement of fact should not be two lines or three lines, maximum less than one line. All this will come through practice. So those of you who have already practicing with me, you are aware of these things. But self-study students or who will now enroll in my upcoming revision batch, you must understand these things, because we will be going to apply all these things in our practice classes from next week. Any questions on linking techniques? It's very simple. You need to pick up the statement of fact and then elaborate on it. Khalas. So we talked about time management, we talked about linking. Now, number of points. Number of points. Again, very simple. So you need to decide the number of points you need to write. The more the marks, obviously, the more points you need to give. Less marks, less number of points. So how do we decide the number of points? So the rule of thumb is 2 marks per point. Okay. So we will follow the rule of 2 marks for a well-drafted point. Now let me take a quiz. How many points for 10 marks? Quick, 10 divided by 2, 5. Good. How many points for 20 marks? 20 divided by 2, 10. 10. Not 10 to 11, 10. Don't be over smart. How many points for 16 marks, 1 6. 16 divided by 2, 8 points. Now, how many points for 15 marks? 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So 7 to 8. There is no such thing as 7.5 points, right? 7 or 8 points. How many points for 11 marks? 11 divided by 2 is 5.5. So 5 to 6. Good. Everybody clear? How to calculate number of points? Yes, no. Now, supposing how many points for 20 marks? 10. Ideally 10. But if you are not able to give 10 points, then at least how many points? Minus 1. So 10 minus 1 is 9. Minimum should be at least 9 points if you want to feel secure. Minus 1, huh? 10 minus 1. How many points are required for 10 marks? 5 points. But if you are not able to give 5 points, then at least minimum how many points? 5 minus 1, 4 points. Okay, done. 1 point should be 1 paragraph. That's my clear thing, that each point should be a separate paragraph. Do not mix 2 points in 1 paragraph. You will lose marks. So for a 14 marks question, how many paragraphs should I expect? No. How many paragraphs should I expect for a 14 mark? 7 paragraphs. Absolutely. 7 points means 7 discrete paragraphs. Okay. Because 1 point is 1 para. Now there are slight exemptions, some exceptional scenarios. When the question says identify weakness and give recommendations, and let's say it is 20 marks. So for 20 marks, how many points are required? 20 divided by 2, 10 points, right? So this means 5 weaknesses and 5 recommendation. Is that clear? Because these are 2 separate requirements. Identify weakness is a separate thing, separate point, and giving recommendation is a separate point. Right? So 2 marks for weakness and 2 marks for recommendation. Is that clear? Same applies for risk and recommendation. If it says identify risk and give recommendations, so 2 marks for risks and 2 marks for recommendation. Supposing this one is worth 16 marks. How many risks and how many recommendations? 16 divided by 2, 8. So 4 risks and 4 recommendations. Am I correct? Let me see your, 4 each, 4 plus 4. And I would ideally use a tabular format. Remember that whenever we are supposed to identify risk and give recommendation, I will use a tabular format. Now, another tricky situation. Sometimes the examiner already gives you weaknesses, already identifies the weakness for you. Okay. Let's say the examiner has given you 4 weaknesses in the exhibit. Okay, let's say the exhibit talks about 4 weaknesses and you're supposed to discuss the weakness or impact and give recommendation, right? And the question is worth 20 marks. So if the weaknesses are already given to you, 4 weaknesses are already given to you, then first you will divide 20 by 4 so that you calculate marks per weakness. So if the question is worth 20 marks and 4 weaknesses have been provided to you, and you are just expected to talk about these 4, then you will do 20 divided by 4, which means 5 marks per weakness. Is that clear? 5 marks per weakness. So each weakness is worth 5 marks. So whenever the weaknesses is given, then you first calculate marks per weakness. Now for each weakness is worth 5 marks. So how many points are required for 5 marks? 2 to 3. Right. So for each weakness, you will give 2 or 3 points. Each weakness, 2 and 3 points. And how do you divide between impact and recommendation? Maybe you can give 2 impact and 1 recommendation, 1 impact or 2 recommendation, doesn't matter. Overall, there should be 3 points or 3 paragraphs for that weakness. Interesting, huh? Exactly same logic applies on number of slides. Supposing the examiner says prepare 2 presentation slides and the marks is 14. Examiner says prepare 2 slides and the total marks is 14. So first you will calculate marks per slide. So 7 marks per slide. Right? 7 marks per slide. And then how many points on that slide? 7 divided by 2 is 3.3 to 4 bullets, right? So guys, it might seem a little bit tricky to you at the moment, but it is not that difficult. The more you will practice, you will get very fast in calculating and deciding the number of points very fast. So going back to our question, task 3, what is the total marks? 14 plus 4, 18. So how many points required for 18 marks? I need to come up with 9 benefits of e-marketing, correct? 9 benefits. And if I'm not able to come up with 9, then how much? Then at least 8, 9 minus 1. So I need to look for 9 benefits. And if I look at the exhibit, which is exhibit 4, it's a pretty lengthy, juicy exhibit. So probably I'm able to find 9 points. Supposing I'm able to find 6 points from the exhibit, then what do I do? Supposing the exhibit, I'm just able to find 6 points, then I will go to the pre-scene. I'm aware of the pre-scene. I can pick 1 or 2 points from there. Very good. Very good. Baba, all this will take time. Yes or no? So much thing to do. Read the requirement, make the format, read the bloody exhibit, identify the punchlines, calculate the number of points, explain the impacts, make the format, go to the pre-scene if there is a deficit. All this will take time, a lot of time. That is why I always insist on concise answers, 2 to 3 lines. One line is not acceptable. 2 to 3 lines. Okay, so that you are able to manage your time, because if you start going into detailed drafting, you will not be able to give even 3 points instead of 9 points. Am I clear? If you are able to draft properly within the allowed time, then you can write more, no problem. But if you are struggling, okay, done. Format of your answer. So the format of the answer is pretty simple. We will adopt a paragraph style of drafting, huh? I've seen that some students, they are giving their points as bullets. No, don't give bullet points. Paragraph points. Hmm. If 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 9 points are there, I want to see straightforward 9 paragraphs. And the size of the paragraph, maximum 2 to 3 sentences per point. We already discussed the length or the size. Now, this one is interesting. Give subheadings for each point if possible to gain extra marks. So, my paid students, you are aware that I always prefer giving a small subheading for each point so that the examiner exactly knows what you are going to talk about, right? This one, leave one line between each para. So your paragraph should not be jumbled up. They should be open and distinct. So always try to leave a blank line and then start another paragraph. So there should be an empty line between each para so that the examiner can clearly count how many paragraphs. Okay? Okay, done. Now, the fourth important thing is common sense question. How do we handle common sense question? So my first question is, what percentage of your paper is common sense? What percentage of questions represent common sense? More than 50%. In SBL, more than 50% paper is common sense. Now, what can be the example of common sense? So, what is a common sense question? A common sense question is a question where you don't require any theoretical or bookish knowledge. There's nothing there to support you. You just need to read the exhibit and apply your logical thinking to answer the question. Now, this logical thinking is the problem, right? You guys are not experienced enough for logical. I mean, you guys can do logical thinking for your girlfriend and boyfriends, right? I'm sure. But when it comes to business matters, you just start acting dumb. Now, what are the examples of a common sense question? What when I say 50% is common sense, What are the examples? What kind of questions are normally tested? So the first type is evaluate the pros and cons of a proposal. Evaluate the pros and cons of a proposal. So now the examiner will give you a proposal and you have to think about the pros and cons, the benefits and challenges. No theoretical knowledge is required. It depends on proposal to proposal, right? Was there any question on comments on proposal in the one which we are looking right now in the CBE platform? Yes, I remember. I think it was, where's the scratch pad? I think the first one, advise on the financial and non-financial benefits and drawbacks of each of the investment project and give recommendation. What's the marks for this? Let's see. So question number one, the marks is 30 marks. So just this one question is worth 30 marks where you will open the exhibit. I think it's exhibit number one. You will need to read the exhibit and gather your points logically. What are the good things? What are the bad things? 30 marks gone. Common sense. Now, another type of question is give recommendations to address a weakness. So sometimes the examiner will give you a weakness and he will ask you to give recommendations. Now, giving recommendations is always common sense, right? No theory will tell you what the recommendation. You will look at the problem and then you will have to think, how can I fix it? Yes. And then also a question like risk mitigation action. So sometimes some risks are given and you are asked how you can mitigate the risk. Again, it's kind of a recommendation. So again, you need to logically think that, okay, this is the problem. How can I fix it? So again, I think in the CBE platform, there was a question on risk, right? I think it was three, task number three. Evaluate the adequacy of the risk mitigation activities and recommend 16 plus 4. How much? 20. So again, this 20 marks is common sense because you need to evaluate the adequacy and give. So where is the risk mitigation? Mm. So common sense question will decide whether you will pass or fail because more than 50% of the questions are common sense. Now, my question is, how should we handle common sense? Is there any technique, any strategy which we can follow to handle common sense? So, my paid students, you're already aware, right? Yes, Hamza, you're absolutely correct. Good for you. So, I suggest three strategies. So, whenever you face a common sense question, before you start drafting, pause for 30 seconds, think, and gather your points mentally. So, once you have read the exhibit, but before you start writing, take a break. 30 seconds, don't write anything. Just think. Just think. and automatically some points will pop up in your mind because you're now focused, you're doing focused thinking, right? And also, it will help that you imagine yourself like a CFO or a business leader and what you would have done if you were there. So, all this mental imagination that what would I have done, think for 30 seconds, and some points will come to your mind. And of course, extensive practice. Practice, the more you will practice, the more your logical thinking will improve. Any questions on common sense? So, guys, all this we will be applying in our practice classes starting from Tuesday. Because unless you apply these in your practice, it will not get into your system, right? The last topic is it last? Yeah. The last topic is bouncer question. Now, what is a bouncer question? A bouncer question is a question which goes over your head. Over your head. Meaning you don't really know what the hell is this. Either the requirement is so complicated that you are not able to understand the requirement, or there is no exhibit, or it could be anything. It doesn't matter what the reason is. The fact of the matter is, a bouncer question is a question which you may not be able to handle in your exam. Is that clear? What is a bouncer question? Something totally crazy. Now, the bad news is that in each and every paper, there is a bouncer question. That's the bad news. The examiner deliberately includes a bouncer question. Yeah. Because he wants to test your stress management abilities. He wants to check whether you panic and pee in your pants, right? A good CFO doesn't panic, right? He wants to see whether you are good in your time management because most of the time, students overspend time in a bouncer question. You understand? The more difficult the question, you will spend more time without realizing. And then later on, you will say, oh shit, I spent 15 minutes extra. So, all these exam techniques, stress management, not panicking, examiner wants to check. That is why they put a bouncer question. Now, it can be a 10-mark question. It may be a 20-mark question. It can be a 30-mark question. There is no hard and fast. Normally, it is 15 to 20, 15 marks. Normally, a bouncer question I've seen is 15 marks. But in your previous attempt, in June attempt, the bouncer question was 30 marks or 32 marks. So it's very important to understand how to handle a bouncer question, right? So the first strategy is attempt this question in the last. The first strategy is never do this question upfront. Supposing question number 1 is a bouncer question, what will you do? Supposing the first question is a bouncer question, what will you do? Exactly. I don't care whether it's question number 1. I will always start from the easiest question and leave the difficult question for the last. So the first strategy is attempt bouncer as your last question. Even though if it is your question number 1, do it in the last. You can define a little bit depending on the topic, all right? Maybe one paragraph just to fill up space. You can use information from the pre-scene to write some points. I mean, there is nothing you can do, right? Whatever comes to your mind, do it. But the important thing is, do not use the entire time allowed. Save 10 or 15 minutes and use it to add more points to your other questions. So you will be a fool if you spend the full allowed time on a bouncer question, right? Supposing the bouncer question is worth 15 marks. How many minutes are we supposed to give for 15 marks? 15 multiplied by 1.8, around 25, 27 minutes. If I was in your place, I would not spend 27 minutes. I would spend 15 minutes trying to just write something. I don't want to leave it blank. I will make the format. I will just define couple of stuff. I can use couple of points from the pre-scene. But as soon as 15 minutes is up, what will I do? I can go back to the easier questions. Move on. No, there is no move on. This is the last question. I'll go back to my easier questions. Supposing the your earlier question was incomplete because of lack of time. Go back and complete the easier ones. There you will get short marks. Here, even if you write, there's a high chance it might go wrong, right? So better to go back to the earlier questions. If it is incomplete, add more points. If it is already full completed, add one extra point. Doesn't matter. Do you understand? So you need to be very cunning and very ruthless. You need to snatch your marks from the examiner. You have to be cunning, smart, ruthless if you want to pass SBL. If you go in the paper and you panic, you are gone, because a good CFO never panics. And if you are panicking, you cannot become a good CFO. You're not fit. You are unfit. Okay, now there are certain pet topics which comes under bouncer question. There are certain pet topics which is normally comes under bouncer. Any question on culture? Culture is a slippery topic. Culture and change management. These are the two most frequently asked topics as a bouncer. So in your previous attempt, in the June attempt, the bouncer question had both culture and change management. It was 38 marks, I think. It had both culture and change management. It was a very, weird kind of a requirement. Most students, they panicked and they lost. Although some students, they also scored 86 marks, right? So it's all about your, what do I say, how cunning and level headed, or how you maintain your confidence, how focused you are during those 3 hours. Yes. Whatever happens, don't leave the exam techniques. If you stick to the exam techniques, nobody can fail you. But the moment you deviate from this exam techniques, time management, drafting, common sense, bouncer, the moment you deviate from this, your downfall starts. Okay, guys, so that's it for tonight's. So just a quick announcement that my revision drafting classes will start from 5th of August. And it is a very exam focused practice sessions. We will be doing 7 to 8 past papers, applying all these techniques. It also includes the pre-scene. So I'll discuss about this tomorrow. But I just wanted to share the timetable because a lot of you were requesting me for the timetable of the revision classes, right? So the formula is very simple. 2 days class, 1 day off. 2 day class, 1 day off. That's the formula, right? And classes will be held in evening, 6 p.m. Dubai time, which means 7 p.m. Paki time and 7:30 p.m. India time. Our African and European colleagues might be a bit behind, but all classes will be recorded so that you can watch the next day. All right, so I'm done with the today's class. Uh, I just want to go back and see my plan. Yeah, so today we talked about introduction done, formats done, professional skills done, exam techniques done. Tomorrow, very important. First, we'll just start with some tips from global prize winners so that you exactly know what they did. We'll talk about some technical articles. This one is important. Tomorrow, we will be solving one question so that you understand how to link, how to draft. Okay. And then after the drafting, I will share list of important topics and the study plan. Right. So, um, I think that's it for tonight. I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, and we will proceed with some more things. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. And I will share the link on the WhatsApp group and we'll connect tomorrow. Okay, thanks a lot. Take care and good night.